Hey guys, the last video we talked about shedding and breakage and the difference between the two. Today we're going to be talking about what causes shedding, what causes breakage, and what you can do about it. So stay tuned. Okay, so shedding is a natural thing. Like I said the last time, you shed like 50 to 100 hairs per day. So if you're the kind that washes your hair, or wash day is every month, you're going to have like a whole month of shed hair. So like that's 100 hairs times 30. That's like 3,000 strands of shed hair. So it's kind of like normal for your hair to shed. And if your hair is shedding so much, I said how you can know if your hair is shedding so much in the last video. If you haven't watched that, you want to go ahead and watch that so you can catch up with this, what we're saying in this. So if you are shedding excessively, I already have a video for you guys of a tea rinse that you can do to help to reduce the number of hair you shed, everything. So go ahead and watch that. If you've done that and your hair is still shedding, you might want to pay attention to what exactly is causing the hair shed. Okay, so which brings us to what we're supposed to be discussing today. Hair shedding is natural, and so when you notice that you're shedding excessively, you want to look within, you want to look at the natural things that can cause hair shedding. So basically, if you're stressed, your hair might overshed. If your hormones are acting up, whatever it is that is internal that is making your hormones act up, you might shed hair. So you might basically want to go for a checkup or something if you can't seem to figure out what it is that is making your hair shed so much. And then if you have any internal health issues at all, that might be the cause of your hair shed. If you're stressing so much, you want to make sure you dial down on the stress. That's kind of like a way your body is telling you that it's getting too much, something might have to give. So just dial down your stress levels and do something. Just take a step back and relax and then get back to work. Your diet is also a major factor in your hair growth. So if you're not eating well, or something you change to your diet or something, it might be because of that your hair is shedding excessively. So you might want to look into that also. Another thing is drugs. If you're on any kind of medication, you might want to read through the side effects to make sure that hair shedding is not part of it. If it is, you could go back to your doctor to complain about it, and they would have something for you or help you manage it somehow. So drugs can also cause you to shed hair excessively. Hormones, let's go back to hormones a bit. Postpartum shedding is a thing. So after giving birth, you might experience a lot of shedding. A lot of people actually experience this, so that might also be a cause of shedding. For postpartum shedding, I actually don't really know how you can curb that. You might want to check online for other videos that talk about postpartum shedding and how to curb it. Something else is dehydration. If you're constantly dehydrated, you might want to look into that and make sure you're taking enough water. I mean, water is life. Water curbs everything. Water helps with everything. So just take lots of water and see if that helps. Then the last thing I would like to say is products. Products can actually cause your hair to shed. If your hair is reacting to a product, your scalp is getting irritated or anything, it might be because of the product. So just look into the products you're using. It might just be the cause of your hair shedding. So hair shedding is basically natural. All of these things I mentioned, they're things that occur within your body and all of that, apart from the product one. So you just have to find out what exactly is causing it and take it away, and your hair shedding or excessive hair shedding would stop. So that's basically all about the causes of hair shedding and how you can combat it. Basically, look for what is causing the hair shedding and remove it from your life, and your life will be better for it, and your hair will be better for it. So that's basically it. For breakage, however, there are plenty of things that can cause your hair to break. A lot of things that can cause your hair to break. A lot. And actually, in this natural hair journey, one of the major things you have to combat is breakage, because for your hair to grow, you have to retain length, and if your hair is breaking, you're not retaining length. Are you understanding me? Okay, so Breakage, there are lots of things that can cause breakage. And like I have always said before, your techniques in this natural hair journey matter more than anything. So on techniques, let's begin. Let's start with wash day, because that's like one of the most important days in her journey, and usually that's when you get the shed hair, that's when you get the breakage and all that. So let's start with wash day. When you want to start wash day, make sure your nails are filed. Those tiny things that snag at your hair when you're washing your nails, when you're washing your hair, is something that can lead to hair breakage. They snag at your hair here, snag at your hair there, and by the time you are bringing together all of the hair they've snagged at and broken, it's a lot. So make sure your nails are filed on wash day. That's number one thing that can cause your hair to break, not filing your hair on wash day. 2, you don't pre-poo. Like, pre-poo is so important. Whether you want to pre-poo with oil or you want to pre-poo with conditioners, it's your choice. You want to do the bagging method or the greenhouse method, just do one. Pick a struggle. Just make sure you pre-poo your hair. Pre-poo is so important because it helps your hair not to get dry when you shampoo it. And when your hair is not dry, your hair doesn't break. You get, when your hair is dry, your hair breaks. It's that simple. So pre-poo your hair, it's very important. 3, you don't wash in sections. If you don't wash your hair in sections, your hair gets all tangled up, and tangles mean breakage. It's simple math. Your hair gets tangled, your hair breaks, because you're trying to untangle, it breaks. So make sure you wash your hair in sections. That way you're reducing the load that you have to work with, and it really helps. Number 4, you don't focus on your scalp. Like, when you're washing your hair on wash day, when you're shampooing your hair, you want to focus on your scalp and not exactly your hair strands. You get, so you focus on your scalp and not your hair strands. That also helps. See, everything that we say in this natural hair journey matters. So focus on your scalp when you're washing your hair, not your hair strands. And then when you're washing your scalp, you want to make sure you're not like just roughing it up anyhow. You're careful. You're very careful. I recorded a video on how to shampoo your hair and make sure it doesn't tangle so much. Go ahead and watch that video and get educated. There are techniques, there are right techniques to these things. So you want to make sure you're using the right technique so your hair doesn't break. Okay? Alright, so apart from wash day, let's talk about detangling. When you're detangling your hair, the techniques you use determine if you get so much breakage or a little less breakage. First of all, natural hair will teach you patience. Patience. So you have to be patient with your hair. You don't snag at your hair anyhow when you're detangling. You just have to be patient. If you see a knot, drop your detangling tools, use your fingers and unknot those knots, and then continue with your tools. So it's just very important that you're very patient for your detangling. If you're tired or you're busy or anything, just don't start. Do you understand? Don't start. Instead of you to now start and now be snagging at your hair and be angry at your hair is angry at you, all of you will now be, just don't start. Okay? And then when you're detangling your hair and you're not using the proper tools, like you're using very thin spaced combs, like all those blue combs, and you're using metals, I don't even know, just use the proper tools on detangling day. Get a proper detangling brush that is for natural hair, a wide tooth comb, and then get products that have a lot of slip that help you to detangle your hair much better, like oils, conditioner. If you want to do a DIY, get oils, they have slip. Get conditioners that have a lot of slip, or get detanglers. There are detanglers in the market these days. Get proper detanglers and use it to detangle your hair. So proper tools, proper technique, they matter. And patience in detangling your hair. Another thing that breaks your hair is over manipulation. When you do your hair today and then tomorrow you're doing another style, and then next tomorrow you're doing another style, and over manipulation, you have hand and hair syndrome. You can't just leave your hair alone. That's bad for your hair, that's bad for you. It's waste a lot of your time. So once a week is enough, is more than enough. If you have to style once a week, style your hair once a week and then leave it alone for the rest of the week, and then After that week, you can do whatever it is your regimen is, and then continue. Once a week is more than enough. So over manipulating your hair can lead to breakage, so you want to just leave it alone. Leave your hair alone. The next thing we're going to be talking about is when your hair is not moisturized. So we should moisture. Put a lot of water in, seal that moisture in, and all of that. It's not for nothing. Brittle hair, dry hair gets brittle, and brittle hair breaks. So you want to make sure your hair is moisturized. Always, your hair never goes dry. It's very important that your hair never goes dry. So moisturize your hair as often as you have to. Don't over moisturize. There's something called hydral fatigue, so don't go and over moisturize. Just know when you need to moisturize, and then the next time you need to moisturize, and just stick with what you know. Stick with your regimen, your moisturizing regimen. If you don't have one, make one and stick with it. Another thing is moisture and protein balance. So when your hair is moisturized and it doesn't have enough protein in it, your hair breaks. When your hair has too much protein in it and it doesn't have moisture, your hair breaks. So you have to balance the moisture and the protein in your hair. If you have high porosity hair, your hair needs more of protein. If you have low porosity hair, your hair needs more of moisture. But it doesn't mean that if you have low porosity hair, your hair doesn't need protein. So balance the two. How? Just study your hair and see what works for you. Okay? But make sure you balance the two. That's just it. Another thing that breaks your hair is when you dye your hair, you color your hair, you texturize your hair. You just apply chemicals to your hair and then you don't know how to take care of it. Chemically processed hair already means that you have extra work to do. So when you go through these processes and then you don't put in the extra work, it just makes your hair dry and it will cause breakage. So when you decide to chemically process your hair, you should know that it's going to require more work for you to do to make sure it doesn't break. So you have to put in the work. So put in the work so your hair will not break and you can retain that length. Okay. One other thing that breaks your hair is when you don't use the recommended satin stuffs, satin bonnets, scarves, pillowcase, satin, just protecting your hair while you sleep. So your hair rubs on cotton and then it just takes all the moisture in your hair and then your hair is dry. Or one other one that you might not notice is your clothes. Your hair is down and your hair rubs on your clothes and it's just drying up your hands and your hands are just breaking off and all. So you have to make sure that you pack your hair up days when you get cotton, and then when you want to sleep, make sure you sleep with a satin pillowcase or a bonnet or a satin scarf. Just protects your hair somehow. Always. Also, when you carry bags and then your hair is long and then you're trapping your hair under your bag and all of those things, they're little but they cause enough damage. So just try as much as possible to make sure you avoid all of those small things that can lead to long-term breakage. So avoid them. Something else that breaks your hair, especially your edges, are tight hairstyles. When you go to the salon, oh god, let's talk about salons. Anyways, when you go to the salon and then they pull at your hair and all of those things just breaks your hair and they're pulling your hair from the roots, it's just not good for you. So avoid tight hairstyles as much as possible. You're doing a laid back hairstyle, you're gelling your hair to the back, you're using too much gel, just gelling it every time and all of that. It causes an accumulation kind of thing and then it just breaks your hair with time. So try as much as possible to avoid tight hairstyles. Anything that would pull your edges, you're pulling your edges to the back, you're pulling your edges up, anything at all, just avoid those kind of hairstyles. And it's not just your edges, you just notice your edges faster. If your edges are going because of tight hairstyles, your hair is probably also going. So just avoid them totally. So another thing that can cause breakage that you might not have noticed are the products you're using. If you're a product junkie, for example, and you keep changing the products that you're using, it might cause your hair to break because your hair is not used to this and you're changing it already and then change it already, and it's just too much for your hair. So you might want to stick to one product for a while, at least finish a tub or product first before you move on to another product. Do you understand? So just don't be a product junkie basically. And then some products might react with your hair negatively and then cause your hair to break. So if you notice it's the products, you just stop the products generally and move on to another product. But if the product is not doing anything damaging to your hair, try and finish a tub of or a jar of products before you move on to another product. So don't be a product junkie. Okay, so the last point I'm going to be making here today, let's talk about salons. When you go to the salons, there are just so many damaging things they do to your hair. I personally try to avoid salons as much as possible. As much as possible. Like, do you see all those combs they used to comb your hair? Even when you complain, they will still use it. Even when you complain like plenty times, you will still go back there and they will still use it. They will still drag your head and your hair anyhow they want to. They will still use tools that are not appropriate for your hair. They will still use creams and products that you don't want them to use. And then you go there and you don't apply styling products to your hair that will make your hair soft and easy to manipulate, and then you don't make your hair when it's damp so that it's soft. When you apply your products, they can penetrate and all of that. Salons are just a disaster, to be honest, especially salons that are not natural hair salons, and I don't know what they are doing when it comes to natural hair. They complain over your hair for hours and then they do rubbish on your hair. It's just damaging. So when you go to the salons, make sure you insist on what exactly you want. Don't let anybody braggadry you. Just do what you want. Tell them, yeah, it's your money you're paying. So make sure you get value for your money. And if they're not treating your hair well, if you're not treating you well, be bold enough to move on from that salon, because salons can really be damaging. Okay, so if you're doing one or two things that are causing your hair to break that I have said here today, all you have to do is just stop doing them, retrace your steps, and you'll be fine. Your hair will be fine. Your hair will thank you for it. Okay, so if you enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up, share it so others can know what is making your hair to break and stop it. You understand? Okay, and if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. It's free. It's free. I mean, if you've gotten to this stage where we are now talking about subscribing, you probably enjoy my content. So go ahead and subscribe, and then after you're done subscribing, go ahead and check my playlist on hair growth and watch it all of it. so you can learn a thing or two about growing your hair like mine. If you want to know what I used to color my hair and how I recorded a 3-part series about it a while ago, so just go down, you will see it there. It's called Fit Temporary Hair Dye. You can see everything there, all of my experience is there. It's a 3-part series, so you know I really documented it. Okay, so thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.